I'm a 24-year-old woman, and my mother has believed since the day I was born that the only thing worth chasing in life is money. Not stability, not love, not health, just pure financial status. And not the kind that comes from working your way up or building something real. No, she wanted wealth that came with names you could drop and country clubs that wouldn't let you in unless your family had been there for 3 generations. Growing up, I never had a birthday party that didn't look like a corporate gala. My mother made a whole production out of everything because she always invited people we had no real business associating with, daughters of CEOs, sons of real estate moguls, and wives of doctors who vacationed in Monaco. She'd rent luxury cars just to park them outside our house. Our actual car was a beat-up sedan she made my father drive around the block and hide whenever people came over. When I was 17, I had my first real boyfriend. His name was Marco, and he wanted to be a chef. He was sweet, thoughtful, and saved up for months just to take me out for sushi on our 6-month anniversary. When my mother found out he lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with his family and his dad drove a city bus, she went ballistic. She told me I could either end the relationship or stop being her daughter. I cried for 3 days before I finally did it. I didn't even tell Marco the real reason, I just ghosted him. After that, I stopped telling her about anyone. Not that there was much to tell. She spent the next few years building a fantasy around me. She would casually tell her friends I was seeing someone in finance or dating the son of a tech CEO. I was single the whole time. But every lie gave her another excuse to hold her head a little higher in her social circles. The real blow came when I turned 21. I thought she'd ease off as I got older, but instead, she gave me an ultimatum. She told me she'd made peace with not having a rich husband herself, but that it was my job to correct the mistake. I had 2 choices: marry someone earning 6 figures or leave her house. No wiggle room. No discussion. At that point, I didn't even have access to my own savings. She had helped me open a joint account when I was 18 and quietly moved most of it out. When I asked what happened to my college fund, she said she'd used part of it for a social exposure seminar I had supposedly attended, basically a weekend networking course for women trying to marry rich. I remember sitting in a hotel ballroom next to a woman who was 35 and openly said she was looking to lock down a hedge fund baby before her eggs got any older. My father? He just stood there and told me, "You know how your mother gets." She kept up her pressure by controlling the people around me. Any friend who wasn't from money slowly disappeared. She'd talk to them privately, ask them invasive questions, or act condescending until they stopped calling. At one point, I had a friend named Halima, whose father ran a local grocery store. One day, Halima just stopped texting back. A month later, I found out my mother told her she was a distraction. By 22, she started parading men into our living room like we were hosting open house interviews. She'd host these casual dinners with her friends and their sons, guys I had zero connection with, most of them clearly there under pressure from their mothers too. One of them asked me how much I weighed before dessert was even served. Despite it all, I tried to build something for myself. I got an internship and eventually a job at a small startup doing marketing. It wasn't glamorous, but I loved the energy, the freedom. 1 week before I was going to go full-time, the CEO pulled me aside and asked if I was serious about staying. Apparently, my mother had called him directly and said I was just experimenting with the workforce before marriage. At 23, I met Dorian. He was the kind of person who didn't pretend to be anything. He was working on a graphic novel and did freelance art to pay the bills. He lived in a small studio, rode a bike, and got genuinely excited about secondhand bookstores. I kept him a secret for 6 months. I couldn't risk her finding out. Of course she did. She started tracking my phone without telling me. One evening, she showed up unannounced at Dorian's place